Hey, before we get into the podcast, I just want to thank this week's sponsor. This week's sponsor is Sock Panda. They are a monthly sock subscription service, and I have personally bought them for members of my family, specifically my daughter. She absolutely loved them. Once a month, she'd be able to go out to the mailbox and get a new pair of socks, and it was always a surprise on like what they were. Sometimes it was like a surfing squirrel, and other times there were aliens. It was just pretty much all sorts of socks for everything you could possibly imagine. And they have men's socks, women's socks, tween socks, kids socks, and you can go on and you can purchase just one set, or you can get a subscription, and it makes for a great gift. And we're heading into the holiday season, and supply chains are an issue, so this is going to be a great gift that gives for the whole year or 6 months or however long you want to sign up for the sock subscription. And even better than that, the Sock Panda team is dedicated to using its socks to make the world a better place. The company donates socks to those in need for every purchase. As of today, the company has donated over 141,000 pairs of socks to homeless shelters, low-income senior centers, hospitals, and underprivileged classrooms throughout the country. You can't go wrong with Sock Panda. They make great stuff, and they do great things. And today, they're giving our listeners a 15% discount. So you can go to sockpanda.com/discounts/Inebri-art15 to get 15% off your order. And we just want to say thank you to them for sponsoring the show. And make sure you go there and get some socks for yourself or for your loved ones this holiday season. Welcome back, Inebri-ites. This is Andy, the Inebri-art podcast. I think this is the first time we've ever had someone from a musical theater Broadway background, so that's exciting.
I hit you hit the jackpot with this
one. We have Sierra Boggess, correct?
Yeah.
And Julian Ovenden. How'd I do?
That'll do.
All right. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys kind of took COVID being a bad thing and turned it into like a bit of a project. Is that how this whole interview kind of got started? You made an album?
Yeah, I know, right? That's a big question. We did. This sort of was born out of this desire to sing with each other, and we missed performing together, and also wanting to do something creative and wanting to re-inspire ourselves and perhaps bring joy to the people. I mean, this really was born right towards the beginning of lockdown. So we're very much looking for something that is going to make ourselves feel creatively fulfilled and to get to sing together. So it truly was born out of that.
And we've known each other for over 10 years and performed kind of all over the place, all over the world, doing this kind of classic Broadway repertoire. But this is the first time that we've made a record together, and we've been meaning to do it for a long time, but ironically, the time we chose was when we couldn't actually see each other. So that was a major obstacle to the project, because we were 3,500 miles apart, hence the title of the album.
So who pitched that idea of doing it during lockdown? And was the other person immediately in, or how is that possible? Or crazy?
How it started.
We don't remember, but we were texting each other, and we thought let's record. First, we wanted to record one of the songs that we have sung together. This was during the time, remember, everybody was sort of coming up with YouTube videos and stuff. That's what happened, really. We decided, let's start with something that we know. And then we created videos as well. We created YouTube videos to go along with it.
But let's just fill you in. We have no recording, engineering or producing expertise whatsoever. I mean, my 11-year-old son at the time had to walk me through basic principles of GarageBand.
Yeah,
we call it in London. And we installed some mics in
my closet,
in your shoe closet.
Yeah,
large,
capacious.
closet. I'm in my attic, and that's how we started the project. It was like the musical equivalent of home brewing.
But it's funny. And podcasting is a perfect counterpart to that. Is when we started, we had like a crappy $60 mic, and we were so bad at it that it took us, I think, about 20 episodes before we realized that even though we had the mic plugged in, we were still recording through the laptop microphone.
Brilliant.
We've had all this stuff and more. Like my piano goes out of tune after like about 48 hours after it's been tuned properly. So every track, I knew I had like a ticking clock to make the thing work. But that was one of the joys of it, kind of learning a new skill, even though we've performed and done this, we know this music very well for over the 20 years. It was fun. And it was also an opportunity to connect, not just with ourselves, but creativity, but also with a wider audience. So it was a labor of love, but a lovely souvenir of a good souvenir of a kind of bad time.
Yeah, and it's. I think everyone kind of found those ways to stay occupied. It seemed like most, let's say, normal people. I guess normal people. We're baking bread. I inadvertently started a comedy show with some friends that now we're doing it in real life, and
right.
I feel like, especially for creative people, had to have something going on. Did you feel like that was part of it? Was you couldn't just kind of sit and watch Tiger King or whatever?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, as actors, we're really good at the in-between because we're accustomed to not having one job all the time. So we don't enjoy the in-between necessarily, but we are good at figuring out like, how do we stay inspired when we aren't working? So for us, the pandemic at the start, when we didn't know how long this is going to be, we were all just sort of figuring things out. And this is hard. I mean,
2 years ago, if there would be no way that I would be releasing videos on YouTube. No fucking way. But then, like, you get to a stage where you're just sick and tired of just staring at the same children and
realizing you've had the same children their whole lives.
Walking the same route with your dog, and you're just desperate to do something creative and something like that's different.
We did.
So we did, and here we are now. I mean, so there were two kind of phases for the project. The first phase, which was us creating the tracks, recording them, and then attaching them to some kind of music video. Then we were approached by a producer, one of Simon Cowell's producers, who's also worked a lot with Andrew Lloyd Webber, who said, "Look, I love this project. It's been very popular, but let's make it really, really proper sound, professional sound, use a proper orchestra, blah, 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 blah." And then the next sort of stage of it was putting that together, re-recording the tracks. And 18 months down the line, we have hopefully a professional sounding record that will win 19 Grammys.
Just 19?
Yeah.
Just 19.
Well, we're releasing the same day as Adele, so.
Oh, all right. Okay, that's fair.
She's going to be worried.
Yeah. So you said you would never dreamt of being on YouTube, and now that you have videos, do you find that there was more interest, less interest? Like, how was that kind of whole experience on YouTube for you guys?
More interest in,
like, were you getting more downloads than you expected? How's the feed, that kind of thing? Not your interest. I mean,
I see. Yeah. Are we interested in YouTube? Yeah, we definitely did. So the channel grew twice the size of what it was. We found that because that awesome feature that they have where you can premiere a video. So there's a countdown, so people would like join it and they would be so excited for that, even just waiting for the countdown and seeing and trying to guess, like, I wonder what they came up with this time for their video and stuff. So we realized that it's actually healing people in the sense that we're bringing them joy and humor and something that we love and how we love to sing. So also like a quality piece of music as well.
Do you find that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it just made me feel dirty and disappointed.
It is the internet. I mean,
together at a distance,
that I
disappointed.
stooped so low.
So low.
Here I was, a grown man,
it's not.
resorting to the.
To the tube of the U.
It's not. It's not like you have a TikTok, so I don't.
Oh, don't
I do.
go there. Go there. Like, see, I'm very grateful. Sierra is much more, kind of social media savvy. Her cats have a larger Instagram following than I do.
True.
That tells you all you need to know about my social media expertise. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice in a kind of. It's kind of nice that people responded, and I guess if they hadn't, then we wouldn't be sitting here doing this interview with you. So,
True.
It's part of the world nowadays, and it's a poor substitute for actually being in the room and hearing live music. And I know that we all,
I'm missing.
We all need to get back in the room and get back to hearing those vibrations.
Yeah, I know. It was big news because Broadway shut down. I haven't heard much recently. I've been super busy, but is it open? Are there plans to open it? Like, what's the situation in New York?
Yeah, there are shows that are open now. It's still early stages of things, but shows are opening. You have to be fully vaccinated, or if you aren't able to be vaccinated because of health reasons or whatever, then you have to show a negative COVID test, stuff like that. So they're trying to just put everything into place to make everybody feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And what's, I think, the hardest thing right now is tourists coming in, because New York and Broadway and London's West End too, we rely on people coming from all over the world. And I think while this is still such an unknown, these variants that come out, it is tricky to know how long things can last, and what type of, how safe people feel as well. That's the main thing.
Yeah, the tourism thing is tricky. Like I said, I'm in Plymouth, Mass, so I'm about a block from Plymouth Rock right now. And I remember when things were. Yeah, it's very unimpressive. But when it started opening up again, we would have people come in and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm here from Georgia. I just got off the plane," and your immediate reaction was, "Oh, like, ugh,
yeah,
get away from me." Yeah. So I think things have gotten a little better. People are a little more used to it, and the vaccinations are up and the numbers are down, so that's good. But I mean, it's nice to see live music again. I just took my son a couple weeks ago to see Stomp. And it's just nice to be in an audience with people. And
oh my god,
yeah,
it's like, it's for us it's like church, I suppose. It's like that feeling of being together and witnessing the same thing and sharing the same thing, whether you're an audience member or a performer. It's still the same kind of concept, and it's it's part of what makes us human, and how we connect with each other in the world. And how we make sense of the craziness that's going on. So, we need to get back in a safe, responsible way, but we need to get back.
Mm-hmm.
We interview a lot of rock and pop musicians, and they're always talking about, that response from the audience kind of drives their performance. In musical theater, is that similar? Because it's not like people, woohoo in the middle, there's no lighters or anything.
But not necessarily the shows that we do, I guess. But yeah, you do feel an energy, I think, don't you?
Absolutely, you feel an energy. With the stuff that we're doing, we're telling story through it. So it's different than a pop singer whose job is to make sound, and make you feel some type of, something. And we are doing that through sound, but it is also the stories that we're telling and the connection. So you do feel the audience being the other scene partner to you, and it makes a huge difference. We just getting to sing together in the same room, it feels like such a welcome change from this time of being apart. And tomorrow we're singing in front of an audience, and that's going to feed us as well. It definitely, we got into live, those of us that do live performing, we got into that because of that energetic exchange that you have, I guess.
Is this your first performance since the beginning of the lockdown in front of an audience?
Not for me, no. It's not for you either.
Not for me either.
No.
But together, yes.
Together, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be lovely. Lovely to release this project to the wider world.
To the world.
and 37 Grammys, right?
Now 37, of
Yeah.
course.
I don't even know how many there are.
You're not going to make any money from it. It's a complete, it's like you don't make any money from releasing records anymore.
Yeah,
So,
it's such a weird industry now, and
I think it might change. I kind of feel like there's legislation is going to come in, because I just don't know how it can be, how the business can support itself on just live, on the sort of 10 acts that can sell records and make any money from that. I just feel like it's unfair. But that's not the whole. That's not the point of this project. The point was to do all the things that we've already discussed. But it's an exciting day for us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you think it's obviously it's timely, but do you think if you had released this album recorded the same way prior to COVID, that it would have gotten the same kind of response? If you were just like, oh, we made this album and we weren't able to get together, or do you think that kind of COVID adds that little bit of, I don't know if marketing.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think what's interesting is that Jules and I have talked about doing an album together for so long. So it is a passion project no matter what it was. So the fact that there is this thing attached to it, that is, we created this out of the need for this and being at a distance and stuff, is an interesting factor. But we would have done this regardless, because both of us believe in this type of music so much, and we love singing together, and that connection is apparent even just listening to it. So I think who knows?
Record labels love a story.
Yeah.
They love they love a gimmick. However, I just don't, it adds a little bit of a frisson, this whole thing, because, we were so far apart, and I come from London and Sierra is obviously from New York. But, if we just met, then, it would have been it's a bit shallow, but because we've known each other and are kind of well known for what we do together. Plus the fact that there aren't, there's not really another album that's like this in terms of duets from the musicals, this kind of material. So it kind of it's sort of sitting in its own
box.
Yeah.
So, they're very emotional songs. And I can imagine when you're on stage, it's easier to kind of fall into the right emotion at the right time as you're kind of like going through the story. Was it a real challenge to kind of set yourself into that kind of, where the character would be, even though you didn't even have someone with you?
Nah.
No, because of these songs are written so well, and the music also takes you there. So a lot of times, even one of the songs we recorded is All I Ask of You, which is from Phantom of the Opera. And I've sung that particular show all over the world, literally. And singing and knowing that I'm going to record this with Julian's voice for me, as soon as he sent me through his track and the music started, and I got so emotional. So I would just immediately take into the place of like, oh my God, this is happening. And it's easy when you have a shorthand with each other of how you sing and interpret musically, so that I'm not ever worried, oh, Julian just, recorded this, just hoping it's going to be okay. He legit, sings this and interprets it in such a beautiful way, so that I can then just also be in my interpretation and all that stuff, if that makes sense. So
we're like the Tom Brady and the who's the kind of receiver guy from the New York,
Gronkowski. Yeah,
they're like the Tom Brady and
there it is,
Gronkowski, the musical theater world.
Cheers.
Yeah, I'm the only guy in Massachusetts who had to stop and think about that. I'm like, I know who you're talking about. What's his name again? The two guys that cheated a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, those.
Gronkowski.
Yeah.
You like that line?
Yep.
I didn't even follow American football.
Ghouls. I'm impressed.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Plymouth gin come from Plymouth.
Plymouth gin?
Have you ever had Plymouth gin?
No.
It's really good. Really nice gin, but it's not from Mass. Maybe it's Plymouth. There's a Plymouth in England.
Yeah. Plymouth, England is where the Mayflower left from.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But we do have a locally made gin. It's called Dirty Water.
Delicious.
Yeah, we Plymouth has 5 breweries, 2 wineries, a cidery, and a distillery, and was voted the most drinking town in Massachusetts. So it's kind of hard to stay sober around here.
That's brilliant.
Is that anything to do with your type, the Inebri-art?
Inebri-art started off as a drink and draw. So it's just some.
What's a drink and draw?
The movement started out in California. Let's see, we've been around since 2011, and it was probably like 4 years before that. And it was some professional artists that were kind of getting burnout from, deadlines and whatnot. And they were kind of like, do you remember this? We started drawing because it was fun. And so they set aside one night a week where they'd get together at a bar. And the one rule was you couldn't bring any actual work.
Oh, I see.
Wow.
And so little drink and draws started to pop up all over the country. And my buddy who was a bartender is like, we should start a drink and draw. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And
that is, wow.
That was 10 years ago.
I thought when you said drink and draw, I was thinking like an old Western that was like drink, drink
draw, partner.
It was like a drawer on a kind of desk or something that you just kept all your.
Oh my
god!
Yeah. Like that's the drinking drawer.
Drinking drawer.
I am from Massachusetts, so I do talk funny. So.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, so.
So I'm sure you guys are professionals. I don't know whether you still get kind of a stage fright or butterflies, but is there more of that where like tomorrow you're going to be, this is your project opposed to being in someone else's?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll be nervous. I mean, that's kind of part of it. You have a kind of feeling of anticipation and expectation, but I mean, there's no kind of fail for us. I mean, look, obviously we're expecting to sell 5 million copies. But
more
it doesn't,
than Adele.
to be honest with you, it's just celebrating what we made, and sort of sharing that celebration and sharing the story. That's all we have to do. It's not like it's a big exam we have to pass. It's just marking the day, I suppose.
Yeah. And just being excited, I think, is really, you get the same butterflies are for being terrified and being excited. And we feel very excited to finally, release this thing to the world.
And it's just, to me, it's so exciting to kind of see things starting to pick up again. I mean, we've been getting so busy and, booking things that we had kind of hoped to book, and then COVID kind of derailed things. Yeah. Are you guys looking forward to getting back on stage? Have you guys been cast in anything? Like what's your kind of, what's next?
I'm very much looking forward to getting back on stage. I can't wait to see what the world is going to do that allows me to be able to do that. But that is something that I am really looking forward to. I miss performing with people and getting to have, like we create little families. That's what's so sad about when theater had to, take a pause, is that we create little families and we didn't get to do that for so long. So that's what I really, really miss about live performing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been relatively lucky since the spring of this year, being pretty busy doing a film and a TV show for HBO and a musical as well on stage. So I feel that things are definitely coming back. There's still a little bit of a way to go with audience, and screen stuff is difficult for smaller projects to get off the ground. Mm-hmm. Because insurance is tough, and if they have to kind of, if there are derailments due to kind of illness, then that eats into your budget massively. So Amazon and Netflix can deal with it, but the smaller kind of services, streaming services and independent movies and stuff like that are still kind of struggling, I would say. But certainly, the world is in a better place.
Yeah, I love with the streaming services how much more content is available, and shows that would have never been made before are getting an opportunity to be made, and in ways they never did. Do you guys, do you prefer stage performances to TV and film?
That's all I've done is stage. That's all that I've desired.
Do you not have a desire to do, you don't want to be in a superhero movie, or?
I don't have a desire to. So for me, I absolutely love stage, but Jules can speak to.
I like all of it, really. I like the variety. And I feel that, there's at the moment, there's so much amazing writing going on screen, into television in particular. I think we're living in a golden age of television. It used to be movies where all the writers were and all the great actors, but now I'd say it was television. That's where people want to do. They want to do a 10-episode, kind of Netflix show with a smart writer, because you get to tell an amazing story over the course of 10 hours, rather than a Marvel film, which is it's a Marvel film, great, but I think we just had enough of that stuff.
Yeah. I feel like
too much.
Something like Game of Thrones like really kind of changed the climate for
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. I auditioned for Game of Thrones about 8 times.
I bet you did.
Dragons, snakes, dwarfs. I did the whole gamut.
Dang.
Yeah, there we go.
But they got a new show coming out, I think.
No, I don't care.
No.
You have to be the original. Yeah.
You never want to be in that show. You never want to be in the sequel. That's never going to be the same, is it?
Yeah.
Never going to be the same. Cut to when it then.
It's going to be huge. Yeah.
We lost you. Sorry.
Okay, we're back.
We're back?
Yep.
You guys, into acting and performing in general? Like, was it a school program? Like, are you from theatrical families? Like, what was the spark?
I don't know, actually. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I didn't grow up around Broadway, obviously. I didn't really know what that was. I just always enjoyed, I enjoyed being in front of people when I would do little songs or stuff like that. So it wasn't really until high school with my drama, being in my drama department and stuff, that I really realized this is something that you could do for a living. So I think I always just enjoyed the community feel of it and creating stuff together. That's really, I think, what drew me to it. Yeah.
I had no idea what I wanted to do until I guess I was in my early 20s. I'd sort of sung in choirs and stuff like that. I didn't come from a performing background, although my dad's a vicar, priest.
It's kind of performance.
Yeah. But yes, and then when I went to drama school, I kind of realized I was with the people I'd like to be with, and doing what I wanted to do.
It's like you guys were made me think how you mentioned how it's like a family. And when I was younger, I'm very shy and an introvert, and through performing in theater and music and band, those people became the people who were really close to me, and I was able to find that connection with people and open up a little bit. And I'm seeing the same thing with my kids. I mean, were you guys kind of reserved as kids, or were you kind of always kind of extroverts? And
I was definitely extroverted.
Really?
Are you kidding? But I'm the middle
really
of
surprising.
I know, Joel.
Oh, you're a middle child?
I'm the middle child. So one, I have all the dysfunction, middle child dysfunction, and needs the attention. My sisters are both, I always say they're way cooler than I am. They're just introverted. So people they don't do a flashy, I'm just on stage, but they're way cooler than I am. But yeah, I'm an extrovert. Jules?
I suppose that's like I'm less extrovert than Sierra. I have moments of extrovert behavior and moments of introverted behavior. I don't know. I think a lot of performers actually are introverted, but a lot of there's a lot of performers
Mm-hmm.
that want to impress, but that's not really what it's about. Of course, it's surrounded at the moment in our lives by people wanting to impress and wanting to kind of perform.
Yeah.
But that's not kind of the point of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just weird. I always felt comfortable on stage, but like in a one-on-one conversation, forget it. Like it was totally different.
Yes, I suppose that if you're kind of embodying someone else or someone else's thoughts, there is a certain amount of protection. So you don't, like the idea of being emotional or taking your clothes off would be terrifying as yourself.
Right.
Doing it as someone else, it's somehow kind of emboldening.
Mm.
I found it was easy to kind of like disconnect because like once the house lights went down, I mean, there was just kind of a black shape, you couldn't really, it's not like you actually made eye contact with anybody.
Yep.
But, that's, back in my limited stage experience in acting. But so do you guys have a particular favorite role that has always kind of stuck with you that maybe you want to revisit, or just that kind of one that really you enjoyed playing the most?
I feel very fortunate with the roles that I played. I have actually loved each one of them for different reasons. It's hard to want to think about revisiting something. But at the same time, I could revisit any of them because you're never quite done. If I still have stuff to say about each one of them, each one of the characters. So all,
all and none.
All and none.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm similar. I'm sort of similar. I think I like the fact that kind of the characters kind of intersect with where you are in your life, and that's a sort of magical alchemy of it. And so, were I to do a part that I did 10 years ago, it would be completely different because I have 10 years more worth of life experience, and that changes you and changes your perceptions and changes everything.
Yeah.
You said it intersects with your life. What do you mean specifically? Like,
well, I mean that having children, for example, as a life experience, that completely changes your whole the way you view the world. And so, taking on a role before then and after that experience, I would have thought would be probably quite different. Do you know what I mean? You bring what's happened in your own life, whether it be breakups or some kind of trauma or some extraordinary experiences that you've had in your own life or your relationships up to that point. You bring that to the table with what what the material is. That's the kind of chemical reaction that happens. But the idea of sort of revisiting something is not necessarily exciting to me. I'd like to sort of go into new pastures.
Do you think those life experiences kind of direct the roles that you're interested in? Because when you were saying that, it kind of made me think about like how you see like these really edgy comics, like Eddie Murphy jumps to mind, but now that he's older and has children, he does more like family films and that sort of thing. Do you think that kind of stuff like directs the path of your?
Quite possibly. It also, there's also the commercial element to it as well. And if you're Eddie Murphy, maybe he'd be able to finance an edgy movie himself, but I don't think he'll find a Netflix or a Disney or a whatever it may be wanting to finance an edgy Eddie Murphy film. So we have to also realize that it's a business. So there's obviously there's artistic things to consider, but there's also business things to consider, especially on screen. And you get more comfortable and you want to take less risks. Generally, you want to take less risks the older you get, depending on how financially safe you are, secure you are. But I like taking risks personally.
Do you guys have to deal with any part of that business that you said it's a business, but do you have to deal with that as far as an actor in the musical theater? Like, does that come into play at all, where you have to ever worry about budget or promotion or that sort of thing?
Oh yeah. You're always aware, doing major shows on Broadway, say, how much it's on all the press and stuff. It says like this is a $20 million musical or something. So especially if you're the title of show, you do take on that. Mm-hmm. I certainly have in the past that this sort of feels on your shoulders, and you have a responsibility to that. I think how I deal with that is just embracing that responsibility so that it doesn't that's how your life is going to be, is for this time. This is my number one job, to make sure that this thing stays afloat. And then in terms of just like personally, yeah, you're always thinking about that. So actors, we're like I talked about in the beginning, we are often in between things more often than even doing a show, unless we're doing a long running show. So we're constantly thinking about how to move the pieces around and how to keep things afloat. And I mean, Jules has a family. So for all of my friends in this industry that do what I do and have a family that they are supporting and thinking about, that's a whole other level.
Okay. So I know you guys have places to go, and you got a big party tomorrow for the release, right? You have a release party tomorrow?
Yeah. Yes,
that's exciting.
Do. Yes.
But Julian, I'm sure you want to get out all your social media handles and whatnot. So where can people find you guys? And
yeah, my millions of disciples. What I would say is don't follow her. She's got enough people.
Yeah.
All I want to come out of this experience is that I want more followers than her cats. That's all I want.
How many cats do your followers have?
If I can achieve that, how many thousands is it?
They have 13,000 followers.
Holy crap. What is wrong? What is wrong? I have 5,000. 5,000 less than your cats.
On my cats.
And they can't even talk.
They're fabulous.
Can they sing?
Fabulous. Can they have? Well, you haven't asked, have you? Teach me all.
How many people subscribe to your podcast?
Let's see. On our socials, we have, I think if you combine them all, we might beat her cats. No, we wouldn't.
Great.
Okay, great.
They probably have us by 3,000.
Great. So please follow.
So they need to follow me at Julian Ovenden. All I need is to beat the cats.
That's
all
it.
Right. I was going to ask her what
I did the project in the first place.
That's it.
I needed to beat the cats. What is it with cats and Instagram? What is that?
Jules, if you follow them, then you'll see why they're so popular.
There's so many people. There's a friend of mine here who's French Bulldog has a boatload of followers. Oh my God.
That's the content we care about.
That is not the content.
It is. It really is, Jules.
This is where we
are together at a distance.
Oh, so it has nothing to do with the Atlantic Ocean. It's about your love and dislike of cats.
The entire podcast, this has actually all been about getting Jules followers above the cats.
So I can get some free shit.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I want. I want to be sold. I want to be sent cereal or kind of,
kibble,
recyclable
kibble.
I don't know, anything.
I
don't think that I can go. Look.
Let's make these dreams come true, Jules.
You get sent free shit, don't you?
I do.
Like what? What have you got? What's the best thing you've been sent?
Oh, the best thing I've been sent is the home ice rink.
What?
A home ice rink?
Yeah, Polyglide ice.
For the cats?
No, for
for
the cats. These sheets of this technology that's been made that's like it, so it feels like ice.
Where do you do that? Where do you put this?
Just lay them down in
where
my music room is, where that piano is.
Really?
I know, but
how are you supposed to do like a whole routine?
It sounds dangerous.
That's why I'm not so fussed about this whole thing. That's the level of
See how you
Crap.
first you wanted free things. Now you
I
don't want a home
portable.
ice rink.
I don't want a portable ice rink. I have
Jules,
no-
either you want the free things or ungrateful.
all
you.
that's wrong with the world right now.
At Julian Ovenden.
And what about you, Sierra?
It's marvelous content. I'm always delivering marvelous content.
He's mostly reposting from at official Sierra Boggess.
Oh, don't tell them that. They don't want to follow you.
They do. They
not.
very.
They
If
do
anything,
not.
they're going to follow my cats at
Oh.
Olivia and Seeley.
Oh,
If the cats get free things, it's promotional.
very
Oh,
I'll throw that out there.
and with that,
that
mic
bombshell.
drop. Literal.
And where can people go to get the album?
So it's available on all streaming and digital platforms. So wherever anybody streams their music, that's where it will be.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And we wish you guys the best of luck on your performance tomorrow.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And you feel free to thank us in your Grammy acceptance speech.
Absolutely.
Give a little hat nod to Adele. Don't upset her too much.
Yeah.
But no, this was great, guys, and I really appreciate it. And
thank
best of
Pleasure.
luck
Thanks
to
for
you.
having us, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, anytime. And listeners, we'll see you guys back again next week when we have a new interview for you guys.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.